Something interesting happened to me, however, and I want to relate it to you. By the way, Alice will be on with us at 1 o'clock Monday, giving her an opportunity to celebrate over the weekend, and then it's back to the grind. Obviously, we'll invite Freddie O'Connell to come on for those interested in the mayoral race, and I think it's not only an interesting thing, but it's also very important to the future of the city of Nashville, who is going to be leading it. So you may have heard that I had a bit of a dust-up last night, and I want to tell you the story. Before I do, Belle K's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as humanly possible. You will not find Belle K on SuperTalk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. That's why we call him Headless Belle.
Here's the smart one now.
That's why we call him Headless Belle. Yeah, no, Belle is celebrating the idea of, I told you, don't tell them what you look like. Don't show them what you look like. Otherwise, you get into trouble. You look nice. You got you decided to remove the goatee? Have you done that over the years from time to time?
No, actually, it's only been like the last 3-4 years that I've had that. And now that I've lost all this weight, I wanted to see what my face looked like, underneath the beard. And I wish I could glue it back on now.
No, you look good. You look great.
Thanks.
A little clean-shaven action. I mean, your chin's smaller, but that would make sense.
Well, I mean, yeah, yours would be too.
From an appearance standpoint. Right. Your chin gets smaller when you lose the chin whiskers, so... But I think you look great. You look fresh. You look ready for TV. Ready for television. Anytime you're ready, just turn it on, and there we go.
Well, after last night, I don't think there's a chance of that.
So let me tell you, and by the way, I don't want to belabor this. I think it should be celebrated that a candidate like Alice Rolli made the inroads that she did. Did you know, for example, and I didn't know this until this morning, and it was Alice's, her entire campaign was run on $300,000.
No way.
Yep, that's what I was told.
It would have cost more than that to advertise on this station.
Roughly $300,000 budget. Now, obviously, now that she's in the runoff, I think a lot of business leaders and people who believe in the way that she would govern above and beyond Freddie O'Connell, they'll be coming out, hopefully, to give her enough money to mount a formidable challenge against Freddie O'Connell. Once again, it's not personal. For what it's worth, Freddie seems like a nice enough guy. I just ideologically stand with Alice more so than I stand with Freddie. So I'm going to support Alice Rolli for mayor of Nashville. I'm not telling you who to support. I encourage you to do your homework, do your due diligence, and figure it out if you live in Davidson County. I don't live in Davidson County, so I don't get a vote. Outside of the vote that I get on a 100,000-watt radio station, the internet platforms that we enjoy, and the television side of things.
You people vote for who he tells you to vote for, or he will ruin you.
That's what I'm saying. That's right. So,
and be sure and check out the title of the stream when you get a chance.
I'll do so. So, here's the deal. We support Alice, and I believe in Alice. I mean, it got me in trouble with Natisha a little bit. Because, Natisha was a little hurt that I said, I love Natisha Brooks to death, but you saw the results, right? That's the difference. So we had her on. We invited all mayoral candidates on the show last Friday at Bold Patriot Brewing Company. Now, if you've been listening to the radio for any length of time over the last several months, you've probably heard Alice Rolli's advertising. And there was one particular ad where there was a voice guy at the end of the ad that sounded weird or creepy or whatever. And we got a lot of response. Anytime we talked about the mayoral race, invariably, many of you on the super text line would respond, the guy at the end of the ad's kind of creepy. And we had a little bit of a laugh about it. And so when Alice came on at Bold Patriot Brewing Company, we kind of picked on her a little bit. I said, my listeners tell me that the guy at the end of your ad creeps them out. And she's like, what? That's Eric. What do you mean? Now, I should note, Alice was there. Her campaign manager was there. And a photog guy, a guy taking photographs and taking video was there. Okay? And that in a normal campaign like that, you're going to have that. You'll have one or two campaign people. And then typically nowadays you want to get audio, you want to get video, you want to get still photos at campaign events, which is what this one guy was doing. So last Friday, we picked, for those who heard it, we kind of joked around with her. She was good-natured about it. She said, oh, my goodness. We played it for her. She said, yes, you're right. Oh, he does sound creepy. Ha, ha, ha. She even said, oh, Eric, you sound creepy. Ha, ha, ha. We all had a good laugh. No harm, innocent fun. Apparently, Eric did not think so. Apparently, based on what happened last night, all the while that we were having good-natured fun with the ad, this person was seething with a burning rage inside of him. How dare anyone mildly critique his work? But none of that, I'm oblivious to all of this at the time that it's happening. I have no idea that this is bothering him. If I thought that this was genuinely bothering the guy, I would have laid off of him. I got no beef with him. I don't know him. So Alice invited me to her watch party, and I was hopeful that she would get into the runoff. All conventional wisdom had Freddie O'Connell as a fait accompli. He was going to get in. It was really up to more conservative-minded voters as to whether or not they would select Alice or Matt Wiltshire, and they selected Alice. So I went to the watch party in the hopes that I would see not a victory speech, but a sort of victory speech. Hey, we're into the runoff. Now the real race begins. 6 weeks to victory, yada, yada, yada. I get to the event. It was over at the Cocoa Event Center, just off of Charlotte Pike. Drove from Mount Juliet. Hey, someone wants to know if the YouTube stream is messed up. You got it in there? You all good?
Yeah, it says it's running.
5668.
I'll double check it.
We're all good, but yeah. Double check it. And 3455 also wants to hear the ad. And I don't know if you can.
I'll have to find it.
Johnny B found it this morning.
Okay.
So.
It's in there.
It's in there somewhere. It might take a second. But so I go to the event and I go in. I see Lonnie Spivak, who is the head of the Republicans in Davidson County. I speak to him for a minute. I see a few other folks who are listeners that I've seen from time to time at events since I've been in Nashville. And I say hello to a few people. I go over to the little cash bar area. I get a glass of wine. I have not gotten a ticket to get the wine. And I said, do you need me to go back? I mean, there was, but eventually she gave me the wine. Anyway. And I'm standing there as you do, and I'm watching Alice work the room. I don't want to disturb her yet. And I noticed her photog guy, who I remembered from the event at Bold Patriot Brewing Company. Now, understand, I have zero concept that this guy has been apparently seething with rage since this past Friday at me. I just know he's a part of her campaign, and I walk over to him. He's in the middle of the room. And I said, hey, how's it been going? You doing all right? And he says something along the lines of, you might want to get the bleep away from me. I don't, I got nothing for you. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I was genuinely shocked. I had no idea what he was talking about. But he starts cussing at me. And I'm going to try not to quote him because I won't remember his exact quotes. And I don't want to make it that big of a deal anyway. But he said, I said, what are you talking about? What are you so upset? You want to talk about it? You want to talk about it right here? Let's go. And I'm like, yeah, we can talk about this. You want to hash this out? Let's hash this out. So he takes me to this back room. He leads me to the bathrooms. There's a bathroom hallway, and there you turn a corner after you're around the bathrooms. We get around the corner, he gets in my face and starts dog cussing me, called me a shock jock, told me he was going to ruin me. And then that's when he put his hand on my neck, and I told him I put both of my hands up, palms up, hands up, don't shoot, and said, you're going to need to lay your hands off me right now. Otherwise, this might escalate. And he did, but he stayed in my face, and I said, you seem to think that this is intimidating. I mean, he's yelling at me, telling me that I'm a shock jock. You trashed me for an hour and a half. I mean, this guy is taking all of this way personal, which I expressed to him, dude, you don't need to take this personal. I got nothing against you. I got nothing for you. But you're acting the fool, and you just laid hands on me, and you don't know me. Told me that he would kick my ass. And I told him at one point, I did. I said, look, you do what you got to do. If you want to lay that camera down and we can talk further outside, that's up to you. It was around that time that two people, I guess they accidentally came through the back door, and they rounded the corner, and he immediately backed off. And I said, no, let's continue this conversation in front of these two fine folks. Why don't we? He didn't want to do that. So he threatened to ruin me, threatened to trash me, threatened to, I don't know. Man, he wanted to kick my butt. So I leave. He goes out, and I told him, look, you need to get over yourself. And I expressed to Alice and her campaign manager that I was going to leave because her audio-visual guy just threatened to kick my ass and put his hands on me. And I have enough respect for her that I don't want to cause a ruckus or a scene, but I'm not going to stand there and take that either. I took to Twitter, social media, a little afterwards to tell the story. And, my one regret, I don't call on people to get fired. I don't say those types of things lightly. So I probably, if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't call for his firing, although I think that it was appropriate.
Call for mine every day.
Well, I do call for your firing, but, there's obvious reasons for that. You threaten to ruin me every day of the week.
I take physical steps toward it.
You actively work again. Anyway. So I had a great conversation with Alice this morning, and I don't fault her. I know you got to find good audiovisual people, and you never know what lies underneath. I don't know this guy. I wish him well. I think you're in the wrong business if you can't take criticism over things that you produce in a political ad. If you can't take that level of criticism, you need to do something else. And apparently he will be doing something else. Alice tells me that they have they've agreed to part ways. And she's going to, if you're an audiovisual person and you're looking for a gig for the next 6 weeks, I know somebody that needs somebody. And so that is the story. I did tell him because he seemed to think that he was somehow intimidating me. I said, if you think, you seem to be under the impression that this is the first time it's happened to me. I can assure you, you're not the first nor the best. That made him mad, too. Normally, it's politicians, though. Over the years, it's kind of a occupational hazard that over the years, from time to time, you find people that don't like being talked about on the radio or don't like what you do on the radio, and they decide that they're going to take it personally enough that they want to take up arms, literal arms, fisticuffs, if you will. Normally, it's a politician. I had a couple of politicians threaten to whoop me in studio in the past, 3 or 4 times. So it happened. Mandis and I talked this morning, and Mandis is like, that's never happened to me. What am I doing wrong? I said, I think you're probably doing something right, Dan. Not wrong. I should have. Kevin says I should have. You know what? Things Murphy should have said to the crazy audiovisual guy ought to be a theme of the show right now. I should have challenged him to a pickleball match. That's funny. I don't know. He seemed pretty, he's pretty intense. One of the weirdest aspects of this, though, I go back out and I'm speaking to the campaign manager, and I'm just like, look, you need to know this. This guy threatened physical violence. And as I'm like, look, I'm leaving, but you need to know what you're dealing with this audiovisual guy. As I'm doing that, old boy walks up and completely denies it. It's like, what are you talking about? That never happened. That's ridiculous.
I found the spot if you want to play it before you wrap up.
This is what started it all. And it was you, not me. I'm not the one that noticed he was creepy. You guys noticed he was creepy. We had fun. It was all fun and games until a boy wanted to whip my butt. Here's the spot.
For too long, our city has not listened to the conservative voices here. There are 100,000 conservative voters who show up for state and national elections, but for some reason, when it comes to these local races, we stay home. If just half of us show up for this election, we could win this mayoral race outright. Let your voice be heard. Early voting is open now. My name is Alice Rolli, and I'm asking for your vote for mayor
Here it
of
comes.
Nashville.
Early voting is open now. Alice Rolli is the leader we need for such a time as this. She is the top conservative in the race and needs us to turn out the vote today. Visit alicerolli.com for more information.
I wish he'd used that.
Paid for by Alice Rolli
sorry.
for Nashville,
I wish
David Fox, treasurer.
Sorry. I wish he would have used that. I wish he would have used that voice when he was threatening.
If you're online, I realize you're not hearing the spot, but we don't have the proper licenses to play music on the web. That's why you don't hear it. You have to hear it on the radio.
So it would have been a much better experience had he used that voice when he was threatening to ruin me. He called me a shock jock. I haven't been called a shock jock in a while. So that's how my night went. So I leave the party and, I make a few comments online. I wish the guy well. I think it is for the best of all involved that I leave it there. I support Alice. I don't blame Alice for any of this. I think Alice feels confident that all parties involved did the right thing today, as she indicated that she was shopping around for a new audiovisual person for the next 6 weeks. So there you go. 0562. Yeah, Murphy, that dude sounds creepy AF. That's really, I mean, come on, man. And once again, you were here. You heard what we did. Alice took it in good fun. The campaign manager took it in good fun.
She played it up a little bit, too, because the timing of it was perfect because she had to change the ad anyway.
Right, because of the early voting component. And so she said, okay, we're going to fix that. But apparently this guy was having none of it. Now, I'm happy to accept an apology, and we can mend fences that way. I mean, if my man Eric wants to call up and we bridge this, I'm happy to do that because I think we all need to move beyond it. That's the rearview mirror. Let's look forward in the car as Rolli moves on to attempt to become the next mayor of the city of Nashville, and I'm fully supportive of her efforts. Vote M. Night Shyamalan. Oh, yeah, that's key. See, that's a joke. He sounds kind of like, sounds like an AI voice. Michael here. Oh, yeah, we are way late. I'll do this later. Super Talk 99.7 WTN 1230. Short segment. I ran very long last time round. My apologies for that. So, a lot of your reaction about my my Eric story. Look, I once again, I want to make clear. I was hot-headed when I threw out a couple of my tweets last night. I think the guy deserved everything. I don't necessarily regret that, except that I'm not in the business of demanding that people get fired and all of that. I'm not about that. I wish the dude the best. I hope that you find another line in your audiovisual work that doesn't create such sensitivities inside of you. Because if you can't stand mild criticism, you might not want to be out there in the public sector. And you might not want to be doing creepy ads with creepy taglines on the end of said ads. Maybe Eric can go to work for Creepy Joe, says Jason. He must have really been into you to have been so upset. It takes some deep emotional commitment to be that offended at your opinion. Yeah, he told me for an hour and a half, you trashed me. What?
You just spent an entire segment calling this guy out, and that one text was harsher than anything you said.
I know.
Working for Creepy Joe.
Matt, are you going to ask Jay today to be your personal injury lawyer? John wants to know. Yeah, I mean, you're right. And Roberta says when somebody lays hands on you, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back, right? I'm going to escalate at very least to help people that I know and respect, like Alice and her campaign manager, understand the type of human being that they have working for them. I was certain that they did not understand that. They do now. And a decision has been made. I'll just put it this way. A mutual decision has been made that it's in everyone's best interest that they part ways. And that's all well and good. That's called leadership, and it's what the state of Tennessee needs in our politicians, and it's certainly what the city of Nashville needs in their politicians. And let me tell you something. I think Alice Rolli can win this thing. And I know a lot of you don't believe that. And maybe I'm being Pollyanna. Maybe I just, whistling past the Freddie O'Connell graveyard. But I believe that if you cobble together enough like interests and you listen to the ideas, here's the bottom line. If you like where Nashville is right now, O'Connell's your guy. If you like where crime is in Nashville and homelessness is in Nashville and the trash is in Nashville and the roads are in Nashville, O'Connell's been on that Metro Council for how long now? He's been a leading voice on the Metro Council for how long now? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there, folks. I ain't saying, I'm just saying.